Malik Willis is one of the most intriguing prospects we've seen enter the NFL in quite some time. What many scouts and mock drafters saw as a potential first-round pick fell all the way to the third round in the 2022 NFL Draft. What were the reasons for that, and can Malik Willis be a very good player at the next level? Well, I'm going to answer those questions in today's video, but before we hop into the content, if you are new to the channel, welcome, and be sure to subscribe and drop a like on the video if you guys do enjoy it. We're on that road to 3,000 subscribers. We're a little bit less than 500 away, so if you guys are new, be sure to subscribe. But with all that being said, let's hop into the video about Malik Willis and his potential in the NFL. Now, how did Malik Willis get to this point? What has his career like been before getting drafted by the Titans? Well, he grew up in Georgia, where he played at Roswell High School, and they were actually part of the 7A bracket in high school sports, which basically means Malik was playing in a conference with a lot bigger schools than you would traditionally find across the country. But he had a very successful high school career. As a senior, he led them to the championship game with an undefeated record, but they did fall to Grayson High School 23-20 in overtime in the Georgia Dome. It was the second season in a row that Roswell lost in the championship game, and Willis actually forced overtime on the final play of regulation with a 20-yard touchdown pass. He had 301 yards of total offense in the game, including a team-high 40 rushing yards. Some of these fantastic performances got him the number 35 overall rank in the state of Georgia, which is known for having some of the best talent in the entire country. And he also got the North Fulton Offensive Player of the Year when the newspaper released its high school football all-metro teams in December of 2016. So Willis had almost all of the achievements you would want as a high school player, and he was given a 3-star rank according to 247 Sports. And he had some interest in some major D1 schools, particularly Virginia Tech and Auburn. He was actually committed to Virginia Tech for a short amount of time before switching his commitment to Auburn, where he actually decided to enroll. But after about 2 seasons, he was never able to get on the field. He was kind of sandwiched between the quarterbacks and wasn't really going to receive playing time, so he thought the best option was to head on out and find a school where he could actually get some playing time. Willis recently talked about his time at Auburn, and he said, "I knew I was immature. I had just played really well in the spring game, but I learned the hard way that the spring game doesn't really matter. I decided after that meeting that I had to be better, but I needed to find somewhere else to play and find someone to help me get where I needed to go." Malik went further in the interview to kind of state that he wasn't as committed as he'd like to be at Auburn. He wasn't studying the playbook or working out as hard as he thought he should be, and he really wanted a fresh start somewhere else. And then he began going on tours to other different colleges and seeing where his best fit would be. He told ESPN at the time he just wanted somewhere that he could play. That's all he really needed. He didn't really care about anything else. He just wanted somewhere where he could get some playing time to showcase his skills. And as a pretty religious person, he had a unique moment when he was showing up to Liberty. He said that he was given a sign that it was the right place. On the day of his visit, the Daily Bible app displayed a verse that he saw painted on the wall of Liberty's football facility. So that kind of clicked in his mind, like, this is the place where I belong. He's going to be able to get playing time. He's going to be able to be the man for Liberty. And he also has this religious connection to the school, and he just thought that that fit the best. And that is where Malik Willis ultimately decided to go. His offensive coordinator at Liberty, Ken Austin, said he transferred in and was completely receptive to watching film from day one. But for him, it wasn't so much about putting in more time. He had to learn how to watch film, what to look for and why. It's not just about logging hours, and the coaches could kind of tell from his transition there to the team that he was really focused on becoming a better player and a better quarterback, and was really going to take advantage of the opportunity to play for Liberty. Now, when he transferred to Liberty, the transfer portal and all the new age college football stuff was not in place yet. The NCAA did not let Malik Willis play in 2019. He had to sit out kind of a redshirt year at Liberty, but then he took over in 2020 and had a fantastic year for the Flames. He completed 64% of his passes for 2,250 yards, 20 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, and also brought in 944 yards on the ground and 14 touchdowns, which was the most for any quarterback across college football. And there was a little bit of chatter that maybe he was going to enter the draft. Some people thought that if he got in, he could be a 4th, 5th round pick. But the 2021 NFL draft class was pretty deep. That's where we had Justin Fields, we had Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson. So he's definitely going to fall down the boards a little bit. And he thought he would test his luck, come back for his senior year, put together another solid year, and then enter the draft and see how high he can jump up the boards. And that's pretty much exactly what he did. But for Malik in 2021, he was able to showcase his abilities, but his numbers did fall off just a little bit. He completed only 61% of his passes for for 2,800 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. He added in 878 yards on the ground and 13 touchdowns. So he did have 40 touchdowns on the year, but his turnovers are up, his completion percentage was down, and that kind of gets into the issues on why Malik potentially fell in the draft. The physical tools for Malik have never really been a question. He has a rocket for an arm. He can throw the ball 65, 70 yards with ease. He's got great speed and athleticism. He can make off-script plays and can do things that not many other quarterbacks can do. And those are really the positives that many scouts had to say about him and his draft profile. But I also want to get into what these scouts and GMs also had to say about some of the weaknesses Malik has in his game. For starters, the offense at Liberty was very RPO-centric. Malik didn't really have to read a lot of defenses. It was really one read and throw the ball. And if that guy's not open, run around, make a play out of nothing, or run. And that was really the offense at Liberty, and Malik really did well at that. But in the NFL, that's not really going to succeed. We've seen players try to do that and it just does not work. Defenses are too smart, players are too good. So many scouts were worried about that type of offense at Liberty and Willis having to work through progressions consistently. They go on to say he needs to learn when to take the easy option as a passer. He's guilty of frequently trying to take the difficult option, maybe as a result of arm arrogance. He'll try and throw the ball into receivers when they genuinely aren't open. It's an issue compounded by an inability to quickly scan the field. Although the Liberty quarterback showed some impressive progression development during the Senior Bowl week. So maybe that coaching he got from fellow NFL coaches kind of helped him progress a little bit in those couple weeks he had at the Senior Bowl. But on tape at college, that is a real concern that GMs have about his ability to read defenses. Another issue GMs had was his accuracy. There was a lot of times where he was guilty of being high and wide more regularly than you'd like to see from a top quarterback prospect, and he needs to be able to improve his accuracy on simpler and even shorter throws if he's going to be a good quarterback at the next level. I did some more digging and found some more scout takes on Willis, and it's all relatively the same thing. This one went on to say, overall, Willis is more of a toolsy player than a viable starting NFL quarterback at this point in time. He will be a big project for whichever NFL team selects him, albeit a fun project. He played in a simple offense in college, so he'll be facing a huge jump in complexity of not only the offense he plays in, but the defenses he will be facing, and his lack of anticipation and consistently even on simpler route concepts is worrisome. But we've seen many quarterbacks over the course of the last few seasons get into the NFL and improve on those areas of their games. Teams really now just focus on the physical attributes, and Malik Willis has it all. I've already mentioned his arm and his athleticism. He didn't run the 40-yard dash for the NFL Combine or his pro day, but he was asked what do you think he would run, and maybe he's being a little bit humble, but I think it's pretty accurate. He said he'd probably run a high 4.3 or low 4.4, and that just gives some knowledge about his speed and what he can do outside of the pocket. In a pretty weak quarterback class, it didn't really have a lot of players standing out at that position. Malik was projected to be a first-round pick and kind of a top 10 pick in a lot of mocks I saw. I even saw some mocks that have him go as early as the number 2 overall pick to the Lions. I saw Malik mock to the Falcons, having them pick him at number 8. I saw the Steelers having to trade up to the number 6 pick to select Malik. And it really felt like the vibe going into the draft was not many people believed he was going to make it out of the first round. And I was honestly surprised when he made it out of the first round as well. We've seen teams over the years reach on quarterbacks and not really be disciplined with who they select in the first round. But for whatever reason, NFL teams were pretty disciplined this year and did not take a flyer on Malik in the first 2 rounds. But in the 3rd round, the Tennessee Titans decided to finally select the Liberty quarterback with the 86th pick in the NFL draft. The Titans aren't really necessarily headed towards a rebuild, but they're definitely kind of recouping. They unloaded A.J. Brown to the Eagles for a 1st-round pick and a 3rd-round pick, and they drafted his replacement, Treylon Burks, in the 1st round. That was the Titans' 1st pick. So the Titans are definitely kind of tooling up for the future. I think they're still trying to win now. They definitely have some pieces. They still have Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. They still have Derrick Henry. But this points me in the direction that the Titans are kind of looking down the road a little bit. They're not solely focused on this year and the next year, but 3-4 years down the road. They're hoping that these picks can kind of work out in their favor. And I think if they can develop Malik Willis correctly, it has a chance to be a home run pick. It's already been reported that Malik is kind of flashing in practice already, showing why he was drafted by the Titans. And apparently Willis has been working extensively with the Titans quarterback coach Pat O'Hara since the draft to make adjustments to his mechanics to improve his accuracy. And we can definitely see that his work ethic that he brought with him to Liberty, kind of learning from his mistakes at Auburn, followed him to the NFL, and he's really working hard to improve on the issues of his game. And that's a really good sign if you are are a Titans fan or a fan of Malik Willis. It's really all you can ask for is Malik Willis probably won't play this year or maybe even next year as he kind of learns the offense and fixes some of his issues from the collegiate level. I could definitely see the Titans using him in some run packages this year. However, just putting him on the field to use his speed in a read option type scenario. But it's going to be really fun to watch Malik Willis's development. I think he's an exciting player and I can't wait to watch what he does for the Titans this season and in the near future. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and drop a like on the video if you guys did enjoy it. Let me know what you think of Malik Willis and if he's going to be a good player in the NFL, or if you have your questions about him being a solid pro. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.